Radio. RadioNash.com. RadioNash.com.
Thank you so much for joining us once again on the show today.
Okay.
And we are very grateful for sticking around, even though we had to go through a few challenges.
No problem.
So, you joined us last week, career choices, and so I just want you to run by us a few of the pointers that you raised on the show last week, and then we can just go into the program on career
Nash
planning.
Radio. RadioNash.com.
Yeah, Emmanuel.
Yeah, can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you now.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I was taking a recap of what we did. My career is not just work with your salary, but it's about everything over the course of our life, from the foundation of our bed to the very end. We classify a career into three major components: our work, our learning, and then our living. That is our social life. But learning gives us the ability to acquire the required knowledge, skills, and attitude in order to work and to live. And based on that, whenever we want to choose a career, there were three major foundations that we needed to look at. And as we did last week, we talked about understanding ourselves. We talked about understanding the world of work, and then the exploring educational options, where we are able to identify the right educational program to take in order to prepare for the work we want to do. So based on this foundation, today we'll be going into detail to do a career planning. So based on this foundation, how can we plan our career? How can we plan our life into the future, so that by the time we leave this world, whatever regret of our past, or rather rejoice in our end and what we've been able to do.
Nash Radio. RadioNash.com.
So I just want you to take the stage, and then, as though you are speaking to your audience that you normally speak to in your seminars, just take the stage and then you educate us on anything that you deem fit for this very topic. So I'll just be here taking my own notes as well.
Okay. Yeah, so for the three foundational factors, they are comprehensive, but briefly, because the planning, the career planning will be based on these three major foundations. Like you requested, we can do a brief overview on each of them. So in knowing yourself, it helps you to understand yourself, to know your weaknesses, to know your strengths, to know what you value in life, to know your interests, to know the skills you already have, or the talents that you naturally have, or the skills you've developed over time. And then it also helps you to understand your personality, how you've been naturally formed, emotionally and psychologically, which sometimes affects your disposition or your external lifestyle. So those are some of choose a different career path as compared to some other person. Jonathan?
Yes, I'm here listening.
Okay, yeah. So in the course of the discussion, I'll be taking an illustration or a scenario of people with different personality, different values and talents, and how their career plan or decision may differ from the other. So to the next point, understanding the world of work. That is where you are able to explore the various various occupational opportunities available. You are able to explore various professional opportunities available.
Nash
You are able to
Radio.
identify
RadioNash.com.
want to pursue, or which one to solve for a reward. It also helps you to understand
Nash Radio.
different
RadioNash.com.
ability in a particular career path. That, in a way, also helps you to understand the different requirements.
Okay, so then we can go into the career planning as we have on our program lineup today. So when we talk of career planning, Emmanuel, what exactly do we mean by career planning? Hello, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel. All right, listeners, we are having a few challenges once again with our internet.
Hello, Jonathan.
Yeah, Emmanuel. Hello, Emmanuel.
Nash Radio. RadioNash.com.
Can you hear me, Emmanuel?
I can hear you, Jonathan.
Okay, so we lost you briefly, but thank God you are back on air. So I was asking if we should go into our career planning for the day. What exactly do we mean by career planning?
Yes, so career planning is simply taking an imaginary tour of how you want your life to be when you are done with life on this earth. And like we said, a career is not just the work you do for a living or the salary, everything you do on this earth, which may fall under your learning, your working and living, is a part of your career. So when you are planning your career, you don't only look at the job you want to do for salary, but how you want all the major components or all the units of your life on this earth to blend into a desired picture you want for the future. So when you have that picture in mind, then you are able to put in place the necessary action plans. What do I need to be doing every day? What do I need to do in the next 5 years, in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years, and more, in order to achieve the desired plan I have in mind? So like we did, the basic fundamentals of the career planning, understanding yourself, understanding the world of work, and then understanding educational options. So depending on the diversities of individuals, depending on the various preferences of the individual, the different values, interests, and personality traits of individual, one's plan or one's career planning will be different from the other. So like I said earlier, we'll be taking a case study of someone with different personality traits, different skills and talent, different values, and different interests, and how their plan will look like as compared to the others.
So, in other words, you're talking about the different personality traits we have: sanguine, choleric, melancholic, and those ones, and how each and every one of them can fit into a definite career option.
Yes, definitely. However, personality types, we have different two or personality inventories. I think the most popular one that is known to people is the choleric, the sanguine type. We have others, and we also have what we call the MBTI, the Myers-Briggs type indicator, which is more comprehensive and focused on career choices and career planning.
Okay, then can you touch a little bit on what you just made mention of, so we can have a good understanding of what exactly we can consider when we are making a career plan?
Okay. The MBTI is a bit comprehensive, but briefly, it measures or it identifies people on four major dimensions, and within which we have 2 preferences each, making up 8 preferences. I'll explain. According to Myers-Briggs, people can be measured on those 4 dimensions. One is how they relate to the world. one person prefers to relate to the internal world, and they therefore refer to them as introverted people. And the other person prefers to relate to the external world the most. And those people are referred to as the extroverted or extroverts. And the second component is how they make information, or how they absorb information from their environment. The other person prefers to obtain information through their five senses, through their five basic senses. So we call them senses. And the other person prefers to obtain information through their sense of intuition, what scientists are debating to be the sixth sense, highly intuitive.
Okay.
And the third dimension is how they make decisions. With that, we have two categories. One person prefers to make decisions objectively based on facts and figures, and one person prefers to make decisions based on their values, and sometimes they are highly emotional. The last dimension is how or where they prefer to live in. One person prefers to live in a structured environment with rules and policies and regulations that defines movements in and out. But the other person is a non-conformist. That person does not like the strictly structured, rule-dominant environment. That person prefers a more of a freestyle, spontaneous environment where they want to define their own schedule. And sometimes they find it difficult to start or continue with somebody's project, but they're starting their own project. Time wouldn't permit me to go into this detail, but all these traits I've mentioned affect people in one way or the other in terms of the career plan they will make. For instance, like I said, those who may have challenges working with a structured environment, workplaces with several rules and regulations, which sometimes prevent you from being creative. There are certain class of people who wouldn't find such environment conducive for their creativity. So they may not like to plan for a career that will involve working in a structured, strict environment. So taking the four, the either introverted or extroverted, a sensor or intuitive, a thinker or a feeler, and then a perceiver or a judger, that those who like the rules, or the other one. Those components really affect the particular environment one person may find themselves. And like I said, time wouldn't permit us to look into detail how this affects people. But these are some of the assessments we do for clients at the coaching sessions. So we are able to produce a detailed report concerning their personality and how it affects their career choices and their career plans. But I'll be taking an illustration of someone with similar characteristics and the particular field of work they find themselves. And then we can
just go ahead with that.
The big picture. Okay. With a combination of this, if for instance you are introverted, it is represented with the character I. Extroverted is represented with character E. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening, please. Just go ahead.
Okay. And then when you are a sensor, it is represented with the character S. An intuitive person is represented with N. So when you combine, you have 16 types of people according to the MBTI personality type. And a typical example of them, or a typical one of them, is those we can call the ENF. Extroverted people. They are intuitive, they are feeling, that they are empathetic, and then they are perceiving, meaning they prefer to live in a freestyle environment. They dislike too much rules and regulations. Hello?
Yeah, I'm listening. Just go ahead. I'm
Hello,
not here taking my own notes.
Are you online?
Yes, I'm online.
Okay, all right. So, find fulfillment working in workplaces where they will not be confined to sitting in an office for the whole day because of their extroversion. They are outgoing people. They like to move, they want to explore, and they want to use their sense of intuition. So mostly they prefer to live and work in the creative professional part, either in writing, either in journalism, either in radio, media, anything related to communication. That is one aspect of professional part they find themselves. And because of
Nash
their
Radio.
feelings, they are empathetic.
RadioNash.com.
Some of them could be motivational speakers. Example of the well-known people could be Dr. Mas Monroe of the Bahamas State Ministries. And sometimes you could see transferring into their way of service or their way of ministry or their way of work. When you see Miles Monroe, Dr. Miles Monroe speaking, you can feel the enthusiasm, you can feel the energy behind his communication. However, there are others who could equally be speakers, but they are more the calm, the speakers, and they more of teach for your understanding in a more systematic way.
So a well-known example in my own case could be like Dr. Mensa Otabil.
Perfect. The typical example is Dr. Mensa Otabil. And also in Ghana, a typical example of the highly extroverted person could be Archbishop Duncan Williams.
Yeah,
and
sure.
Sometimes you see it in the way they make their presentation. It is because of their extroverted nature. So if you want to change their way of ministry, you will see them to be awkward. They will be so odd in the eyes of their audience. They'll be so odd
so
in the
I
eyes
want
of
us
their
to
audience.
take some of the quite well-known occupations, like maybe medical doctor or an engineer or somebody who wants to work in the financial sector, for instance. And then we do something in science we call back titration to see what personality traits these people would have to, or somebody would want to pursue career in such occupations may want to possess before having to venture into such career options.
Okay. Yes, so these are the details I may not be able to provide. However, when we take the client through the test or the process, we are able to generate a comprehensive report for the individual to review and then decide on which areas to explore and to focus on. However, we can still do something briefly. For instance, the opposite of the intuitives, those who people always generating ideas. The opposite of them are those we call the senses. They are those who only believe and naturally draw information through their five senses. The intuitives are possibility thinkers. They see the future a lot. However, senses can see the present and the now. So what they can experience with five senses, what they can see, what they can hear, is what they believe for their present situation. And their major advantage is that they are good at working with numbers, and they are also good at doing practical things. Unlike the intuitives who want theory and then philosophies, they are very idealistic. But the senses are very practical, so they prefer to do occupation that will involve doing practical things. Among those professional parts are those who like to work with numbers. They have attention for detail because of their focus of the present. And those people could find themselves in the banking or other mathematical related professions. Some could find themselves doing something like actuarial science. Some could be in the accounting field, others in the finance because of their sensor nature or their analytical ability. And it's simply trying to identify the nature of the profession and then trying to match it with your individual personality trait. So, for instance, accounting and financial related, though they may equally have some form of creativity within, but it is a highly practical, systematic profession. You may not need a very high level of intuition in the mathematical profession, more of an analytical mind, a critical mind, and ability to have a strong memory to store numbers. These sciences are highly gifted with abilities to store facts and figures. Who is into software engineering, another area which requires the sciences. This gentleman has a very strong to the extent that when, for instance, you are installing a Windows application and you needed a 16-character Windows key, this guy will just mention that figure for you directly on the phone without referring to a source.
Wow.
But you will bear with me that there are some people who cannot even recollect their own phone numbers, or sometimes their friends will recall personal phone numbers, but no more than that. So some people are naturally gifted with the ability to work with numbers and to remember facts and figures. So these are the dynamics of how our personality affects our professional choice and then our career planning.
So you spoke about the senses. Can we also touch on the intuitive people?
Yes, the intuitive, like I made mention in relation to the two previously cited examples, they like the creative work environment where there is creativity. They like the art, and sometimes they also like the public speaking. They like the broadcasting. And when they are equally highly extroverted, you could see in the way they communicate. But intuitives like the creative environment, either creating music, creating some artwork, or anything related to the artistic creativity. Others could be into writing, writing books, writing for magazines, writing for other information sources. I would also like us to move into how they make decisions, as in either they are feelers or they are thinkers. Like I said, feelers are more empathetic. They have heart. They are more gifted with the heart, with empathy and compassion. Whereas the opposite, the thinkers are more analytical and more objectives. And the law field is an environment who also share MBTI. Thinkers will refer to those who are naturally objective in their decision making and in their thinking. And because of that, thinkers are drawn into occupational path which requires very objective thinking. And another field which requires that is the investment banking. Investment banking obviously requires analytical thinking. You don't feel over investment decisions. You don't feel I want to invest into this company, but you have to think through. You have to do analytical thinking over that decision. Hello, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Okay. All right. So like I said, so the reverse of the thinkers and feelers. A feeler will require a work environment where you have to work with people in a helping situation. Feelers are natural helpers. So they prefer to work in an environment where they will deal with people. They are naturally and gifted people persons. They are people persons. They like to relate with people. And when you take them out of a people environment, they feel stressed and depressed. Even sometimes at home, if you have a friend who is the highly extroverted first, and then also highly empathetic, so they want to deal with people in a helping situation. So when you take them out of those environments, you see that they become restless and begin to experience some form of stress and depression. But the moment they come into contact with people and they begin to chit chat here and there, you see their energy restored. So sometimes when they are highly extroverted and they have to be alone, their energy is drawn down completely. However, those who like to be alone, the highly reserved type of people, when they are in the midst of a lot of people, you see them rather becoming uncomfortable because the energy level has drawn down because of the number of people around them.
Yeah.
So with this in mind, a highly introverted person may not like to do profession like sales work, where always they have to be on the field running from one company to the other making presentation. But if they are to sit quietly in an office and working on their schedule in the office, they will find comfort doing that, and that can increase their productivity. Personality can be related to our left and right giftings by birth. So when you are a right-handed person and you are to write with your left, you find it a bit uncomfortable. And the same is the reverse. If you are a left-handed person and you are to work or write with your right hand, you find it extremely uncomfortable. So personality just simply helps you to understand your natural disposition, which then will help in your placement in the right professional path.
Well,
so
I think I'm a little more interested in what you just made mention of, the fact that if you are left-handed or right-handed.
Yes.
I am more left-handed, but I'm able to write very well with my right hand, and I can also write quite well with my left hand, but not as legibly as that of my left hand. So how does this also play in?
Yes, no matter how best you have improved in writing with both hands, naturally and from the very day of you can't change their position, or you can't change their functions. Your left will still be your left, your right will still be your right, except that by training and by learning, you've been able to improve upon their natural strengths and weaknesses. So that is what we call personality maturity. As you grow, as you mature in life, you might be an introverted person, but you grow to the extent that you are able to balance the two. So sometimes you can hardly define whether you are an introverted person or an extroverted person. You are able to balance the two to more 50-50 position, and that is highly recommended. However, still there are intrinsic giftings within each of either the left or the right giftings and abilities.
Okay, then let's go into that a little bit more, because I'm very much interested in that.
Okay, the role of education is not necessarily to give you a new talent. Education on itself, on its own, doesn't give us talent. What it does is to improve upon the natural disposition, the natural talent that we have, so that we can be able to function in those areas effectively. So if though you've matured either your introversion to a bit higher level, it does not necessarily mean that you've changed being an introverted person, but you are a matured introverted person. And though you've also calmed down your disposition to be more outgoing to a level where you've minimized it to maybe 50-50 position, it does not also necessarily mean that you've changed being an extroverted person to become an introverted person, but still they are within you. So these are some of the things you'll be looking at in order to decide, where do I focus on? Which professional paths will accommodate my natural disposition? I made a similar instance where some people might not find it comfortable working in the banking hall for the whole day. They like to explore. They like variety. They like to do a lot of things. But the banking field may be one of the places where there are a lot of monotony. though currently human resource managers are trying to help with what they call job rotation, where they try to rotate the staff so that each of them can experience different operational units of the company or of the bank, and that can be some form of variety within. Do a lot of things that is a highly extroverted, intuitive, and a feeling or perceiving person. So these are briefly how our personality, as one of the factors we needed to consider in our career planning, affect our choice and then our career plans. Like I said, this is only one dimension of who we are, our personality. Other areas that you may need to look out for is your values. Value asks the question, what is important to you in life? For instance, there are some people who they value what we call family life, or they like their family to the extent that they wouldn't like to travel far away from their family. And those people, they also value what we call work-life balance. They want to balance work and then their social life to the extent that one of them will not be deprived. So if you are the person with this kind of value, anytime you are planning your career or anything you are considering, even a job opportunity, you will be asking yourself, which of the which will this work opportunity actually give me rooms in order to combine my family life and then my professional life. So if this would be a conflict, then that person wouldn't consider any job opportunity or any career opportunity that would deprive them of their family life. Yeah.
Okay.
And several scenarios. Sometimes you also look at some giftings you have. Sometimes you also look at your passion. What are you passionate about? And sometimes your passion can even overlook your personality traits. You may be an introverted person and may even be naturally the reserved type who may not like to actually do public speaking. But when you are passionate about something, you are rewired spiritually in a way. If I have a better way to put it, you are rewired. Your personality is reformed to the extent that you begin to operate as if you are the highly outgoing type. And just after making the presentation, you roll back to your natural reserve moment. And
yeah.
a lot of dynamics in those environments or in those instances.
Yeah, I think I heard Dr. Emmanuel Woyome once make the comment that, of course, we know he's one of the great speakers in Africa, if you want to put it that way, but the fact that as soon as he's done speaking, then he just folds into his shells and people are like, how come you are so quiet whilst you're alone, but then you can speak so much whilst on the stage? So I believe he is a very classical example of what you're talking about.
Exactly. So that they have the confidence to mount stage and to speak passionately. Stage and in their general life, you see them so calm, and then you'll be wondering, this person is so calm and reserved, but when you see him on stage, he is so much on fire. So that is what we can say is the work of the Holy Spirit, or is the work of the Spirit within, which then burns into a different energy we can call your passion. And that is why it is said, where your passion is a pointer to where God wants you to operate. So you are able to mobilize a lot of energy. And that person may speak the whole day. If we are to take Dr. Emmanuel Woyome, for instance, that person could be speaking and will never get tired. They rather get tired when they stop what they are doing. But when they are speaking or when they are working, they are taken over by enthusiasm and by the Spirit. So they don't feel pains in their natural flesh. They are in a different atmosphere altogether. And the moment they leave that atmosphere to their natural life, you see the passion has gone down. And specifically, I heard he made a statement some time ago, Dr. Emmanuel Woyome, where he said, He could be tired as ever, but you just call him to come and preach, and a different kind of energy comes upon him.
Wow.
That's why those kinds of people are able to do a lot in their life. Typical example is also Bishop David Oyedepo. I heard him making the statement that he works averagely 16 hours a day. Averagely 16 hours a day working on his assignment. But no stress, no depression. Someone goes to work in the morning, 8 o'clock, and come back home at 5, and that person is so depressed, so much stress that they wish they could quit their job. So it's not necessarily the job. Somebody who fits into that particular workplace can work there overnight and will still be with passion. However, if that isn't your ideal workplace and your salary is keeping you there, then you can't enjoy your working life. You work with focus on your flesh. You work in your body. You don't move into what we can say the spiritual realm, where you are taken over by passion. So that is why people in such work environments, they are prompt in closing from work. Always they are conscious. So when it is 5 o'clock, they know. When it is 4:30, they know. So they just can't wait. They just can't wait for 5 o'clock or 4:30 to hit the clock, and then they will be on their way back home. And when it is Friday, they are so glad. Thank God it's Friday. When Monday morning is approaching, they wish they could extend the weekend. Yeah, unfortunately, in our part of the world, issues of career coaching is not given much attention, and this affects productivity among the workforce. So you may see a lot of people going to work, but what they produce in relation to their population size is far below productivity. So if Ghana, if Africa as a country, as a continent, we would like to develop, then more effort has to be given to our human resource development plans, our educational plans, so that people will not be just admitted into any program for certificate or for qualification's sake, but rather they will help them to discover themselves and see where they can be more productive, and then they can train and work in such occupational paths. But in the absence of this, a lot of people will be driven by salary, will be driven by mere factors. Sometimes it could be the prestige of the work, and later on regret their decisions. I know a lot of clients and I know a lot of friends who are in the nursing field, and we look at them and we desire, or we wish we are like them, but many are those who wish they could quit from the nursing field to do something that they'll be more passionate about. Probably those kind of people never explored, they never discovered themselves. Right after school, they thought what we need to do is to go to the nursing field. And sometimes you hear people with some reasons that for the nursing field, it's like there is a guaranteed job. So that was their major motivation for going into the nursing field. I have one client who never even graduated. Right from first year in the nursing school, he regretted his decision, and no wonder he didn't do well in the program. And that's at the time I met him, where he was doing his internship in one of the hospitals in the country. His negligence, because he has no passion for the work, led to the death of a patient. Especially in the hospital, patients die, or patients may die not necessarily because of their health condition, but it could be the negligence of a health professional who is not passionate and not enthused with the work, and just feel like they have to buy time in the hospital and make their daily living.
Now, one of the things on the rise, sorry for cutting.
I'm listening.
One of the things on the rise right now, one of the career choices many young people are making right now is entrepreneurship. So I would want us to touch a little bit more also on entrepreneurship. If I want to venture into entrepreneurship, what are some of these personality traits, as you made mention of introverted, extroverted, a sensor, or someone who is an intuitive person? What are some of these things and combinations that one must possess before venturing into entrepreneurship? Not just about having an idea and trying to venture into entrepreneurship.
Okay, that wouldn't be far different from being an employee. That would then depend on where the path the individual is going. For instance, if you have chosen to be an employee, you may still be doing, for instance, accounting work and still be an employee. Somebody can also choose to be an entrepreneur and still do accounting work.
Okay.
So it has no much difference. But I will explain in terms of how this will affect. And remember that entrepreneurship is simply ability to identify a problem and solve it commercially or profitably. And so no matter your personality trait, everyone can be an entrepreneur. You may not necessarily be the CEO. If, for instance, you don't have the leadership ability to envision and to play the leadership role, the strategic planning role, you may position yourself at the production department, though you might be the founder of the company, and still do the best and contribute the best to the growth of the company. Entrepreneurs necessarily do not have to be the CEO, but they can find where their personality trait will be more useful, and then they can begin to operate from there. So a sensor may consider work-related that fits him, but as an entrepreneur. An intuitive person and a highly outgoing person, they look at some areas of training and development, marketing, where they will be more doing outdoor work. Someone who is a software engineer, he may prefer to be indoors, and basically their work is working on the PC, so they can sit down from morning to evening. So if the highly outgoing type of person is into software engineering, then he may have to plan his time so that some parts of them are for work on the PC in the office, and then some part of their work will be to move out a bit so that they can enjoy their outgoing nature, and then they can also enjoy or fulfill the responsibility of sitting down to write software, because you can't be writing softwares on the go, moving around.
Yes.
But that is the work of maybe the business development manager or the sales manager, who will have to go for clients. So in an entrepreneurial institution and any other institution, there is the division of labor. So whoever wants to consider the entrepreneurial part will need to ask him or herself, which area of the entrepreneurial business will I be more productive and more effective, so that that person can if it is a software company, if the software engineer or the programmer is the founder and the CEO,
Hello, Emmanuel.
The business development and bring in sales to the company.
Yeah, I think that's an eye opener for even myself, because it's quite a very important one for us all to know, and to be able to know what personality types feature into one becoming an entrepreneur. So you made mention of the fact that you would want to take a case study. I don't know if you have taken it already, but if you haven't, then we want to go into that in order to consolidate all of the points that you have made mention of.
Okay. Yeah, I think throughout the discussion we've illustrated different instances. Maybe I will take this as a comprehensive illustration that to capture every one of them. This person is more of an introverted person, but he has developed his introversion to them that now he can make presentation, he can speak in public, he can speak to people no matter their number in a conference hall. And the person is also highly intuitive. Every now and then there is an idea flowing out of his or her mind. And the person is also an empathetic person. So he has empathy for people and therefore prefer to work in an environment where they will need to be helping people in the helping profession. And the person also is the perceiving type. He dislikes too much rules and regulations. He wants to go according to his own schedule. He wants to wake up and follow his own schedule instead of someone dictating for him. And that person also wants to start something, but wouldn't feel comfortable building upon something someone has said or someone has already started. So they are natural starters because of their nature. And this person is also the entrepreneurial type, like the entrepreneurial field of work, and he's also the social type, like I said, he likes to help people, and also believes in empowering people. So this person has some areas that they may consider. One of them could be in education, where they will need to be developing people. So that will accommodate their empathetic nature. That person may also consider maybe religious ministry or the pastoral ministry because of the need to help people, either teaching them or doing some counseling or other form of ministry work within. And the person, because of their intuitive nature, too can write. So this person may end up as a counselor, as a pastor, as a teacher, as an author, as a speaker. So a combination. And that person also likes variety. So with this component and with these dynamics, the person is able to fulfill his desire to do variety instead of doing things as compared to accounting. Accounting is one of the professions that requires a lot of routine and monotony. So the first person, who is introverted, intuitive, feeling and perceiving, wouldn't find it interesting in the numeric professions such as accounting, auditing, actuarial sciences and the rest, and may also not find it more fulfilling in engineering field, because for engineers you actually work with machines and equipment. To three major work environments that they may choose to position themselves. One is the numeric environment, where you deal with information and data, numbers. The other is the people environment, where you work with people. And the third work environment is the things and equipment environment, where you work with people. So if an empathetic person is naturally a people person, so therefore they would like to plan their work or their career in order to work in a people-centered environment, where they will be dealing with people, either teaching them, counseling them, training them, or serving them as customer service reps. So any workplace or any work environment where you will need to be dealing with people who are empathetic, like with people, like to help people, that is one of the perfect place they may find themselves. But if you are the practical person, you like to deal with tools and equipment, you like to be fixing computers, for instance, or you like to be fixing cars as a mechanic, then when you are placed in a people-centered environment, you find yourself uncomfortable. But when you are put within machines to be fixing, to be unbolting and screwing equipment, that is where your passion comes alive. And the other person prefers numbers, And if I'm allowed to take an example, like Woyome, some people like that, they like the data-driven environment where they work with numbers. So they will find it very passionate working in the economic field, in the banking and finance, in actuarial science, and any other profession that involves working entirely or in the major portion working with numbers. So when you misplace people, they may be competent, but when you misplace their ideal work environment or their ideal professional path, they can work all right. However, their productivity wouldn't be as compared with when they are rightly positioned. So the situation where we have what we call the many square peg in round holes, it does not necessarily mean that those people are incompetent.
Yeah.
It could be that they've not been positioned at the right place at the world of work. So if a consultant is able to identify this as a challenge and they are given an orientation, taking through career coaching processes to identify their traits and giftings, those people performing at their highly productivity level. Typical example could be the story I heard about Usain Bolt. I hope I mentioned the name right.
Yes.
Yes, I learned that Usain Bolt was formerly into the cricket or rugby, and a coach was able to point out to him that he may do well in running.
Oh.
And then he switched from the misplaced position of the cricket or the rugby and then repositioned himself for the athletic, the running field. And now we can see his output now. And I believe the coach who gave him that insight himself is not a star, is not necessarily a professional in running. But they have insight to give guidance and direction to people. To their gifting is to place people at the right place. So a coach may not necessarily be an expert in a professional path you are considering, but they have insight to help you make a concrete decision. A particular place, I can position myself for higher productivity and then for personal fulfillment and meaning in life.
Oh, yeah, I think you've really educated us so much. I have learned so much myself. It was as though the scenario you were giving, it's my own kind of story. So Emmanuel, before you leave us, I know you are an author of a few books. Would you want to talk a little bit about them and where our listeners may want to find them if they are interested in some of these insights you are sharing, which I believe you might have shared in the book that you have authored?
Yes, my first book was Career Choices, which I wrote in 2008. And that has been on the market until recently. It's out of stock. I am here to produce more. The second one was Career Pathways, Finding Your Way from School to Work, which deals particularly about how you can identify your giftings and strengths and the particular professional paths where those giftings and strengths could be highly applied. Have copies of them available. And then the recent one is it's actually a training manual which will soon be commercialized into domestic books. It's titled Becoming a Career Coach, and the focus is to train as many career coaches for the African continent so that we can have many coaches operating. Currently, one of the challenges, the motion or the adoption of career coaching in Ghana and Africa, is the fact that we have few people with this kind of knowledge. We have few professionals who are into career coaching. Others want to go into career coaching, but they've not actually gotten the knowledge and skills required. They are just moving by their passion for the field. So we instituted a training program last year. We trained few couple of people, and this year too we'll continue to train as many people. Fortunately, it is more of a distance learning program. So just as you and I are communicating today, you are in Ghana, and wherever an individual finds him or herself, we can still train the person through our distance learning mode.
So just tell us about it.
If they want detailed information, they can visit my website, www.shapeministries.org. That's shapeministries.org. Shape Ministries is two words combined. Shape as in SAAPE, and then Ministries MINISTRES. shapeministries.org. And they can also connect with me on Facebook with my name, Emmanuel Woyome, and then we can stay in touch, join forces together to promote this profession and also help as many people find effectiveness and fulfillment in their work life, which eventually will lead to rapid economic growth and development for Ghana and the continent of Africa as a whole.
So are all these books available on Amazon or
Becoming a Career Coach is on Amazon. The other ones will be adding up very soon. This year is packed out with a lot of e-publishing. So we have a lot of these books, 3 books coming online on Amazon, and a few additional titles to add up for this year 2014.
Good. So would you want to tell us a little bit more on some of the future projects that you'll be undertaking?
Yes, plans are underway to propagate career coaching, and like I said, one of them is to get as many people trained. We need more career coaches. If you visit our schools, the high schools, the tertiary institutions, what takes their daily activity is just the mere fact that they have to be at the lecture hall and learn to pass their various examinations and go their way. But issues of career planning are far relegated behind, and it is because we trained as many people. The high school counselors, even counselors are in the communities, in the churches, in the public places, even in the public libraries. When we have a counselor that people visit, they can attend to, they can visit a career coach. In our part of the world, we don't have what we call the one-stop career centers in the US. We don't have anything like that, where there are community career centers people can visit. In the long run, that is one of the plans we are considering, to have as many career centers in the community, in Ghana, and other professionals who will be getting trained in other parts of Africa can also spearhead in opening other career centers in their countries as well. And we'll also be working on bringing out more books. The unavailability of books is also a challenge. A coach may not be everywhere to meet people one-on-one, but when we have several books in the system, then we can have as many people who can pick up a book, and the same advice or insight they could get from a coach one-on-one, they can equally get that through books and other information products. So a lot more to come out, and when they come around, we unfold them to the general public.
Well, we thank you so much for joining us, and it's been an eye-opener for all of us. I think we would all have to come and see you indoors to have some of our...
That's an advantage of technology for career coaching. There are coaches around the world who are only in their homes, specifically in their bedrooms, and they are coaching clients around the world thanks to technology. So that is one of the areas we are using. Maybe sometimes Facebook chat room, you can communicate with the client, and the client will find the best direction and begin to make a plan. In addition to using emails, sending templates, guiding the person through Skype, or even cell phone communication. So all you need is the ability to communicate with a coach, and wherever you find yourself in the world, service.
Thank you so much, Emmanuel, for joining us, and we are very grateful that you made the time to join us.
Thank you, Jonathan.
God richly bless you, Emmanuel.
I'm so grateful for bringing me on the show, and I hope as we on the program, we'll still partner with you to get this information across.
Yes, I
God
think the issue on personality, as you said, is quite a very wide and broad topic that would have to bring you back on the show sometime in the course of the year, before the mid of the year, so we explore so much into it, because I believe this is one of the things that most of us lack, and for which reason we find ourselves in the wrong career choices.
Exactly. And for a bonus for you, after the show, just link up and then I'll take you through the assessment for you to get your comprehensive personality report, which I'll mail to you personally.
Wow, I'm very grateful.
Yeah. And just quick one, I want to leave my number on there. Many people who would like to contact me can do that globally with the country code 233.
Okay.
The country code for Ghana 233, and then 233 385 1066. I take it again. 233 233 385 1066.
So if I got you right, 233 233 3850 51066.
Yes. If, for instance, you are in Ghana and you have nothing to do with the country code, you only call
you just call 0233
385 1066.
Yeah, thank you so much, Emmanuel. Thank you so much for joining us and making the time to educate us on some of these things that most of us actually lack some knowledge on.
Thank you too.
And for sure, I'm going to see you inbox, and then you just give me that detailed study of my own personality. Thank you, and we are very grateful.
Thank you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. So listeners, we just finished with Emmanuel Woyome. He's a career coach based in Ghana, and thank God for such in-depth knowledge. I have learned so much myself. This is one of the moments that I wish we never ended Motivational Arena, but unfortunately we just have to bring the show to an end. And thank you so much for joining us. Thank you so much for making the time to listen to us. We believe that this year, 2014, is not just a year that we have all dubbed the very beautiful years of overflow, the year of prayer and all of those stuff, but that we will study so much of our own selves so that we'll be able to strategically reposition ourselves where God has destined us to be. So till I meet you next week on the show here on Motivational Arena, Weekend Motivational Talk Show, I would always tell you to stay at the top, be at the top, because you are for the top. God richly bless you.
Radio. RadioNash.com.
But joy will come. Then also will you stay. It's gonna get better. Please don't throw
RadioNash.com.
away. Love has brought you much.
Nash Radio. RadioNash.com.